right, let's start. Welcome everyone, good afternoon. Thank you for joining the Shopping Convenience and Instant Delivery panel discussions, where we will focus on how landscapes of delivery startups are changing in the emerging markets of Latin America, Asia and Africa. We focus on key trends, challenges and future expectations and how players can stay competitive through instant delivery offerings. My name is Ellen Smits and I will be your moderator for today. I'd like to introduce you to today's panelists. So we have first Afshon Wallace, co-founder and CEO of the Zambian startup AfriDelivery, an online platform that lets you place orders for food and other goods from restaurants and retailers in Lusaka, Zambia. Federico Antoni, who is currently joining, is managing partner of ALLVP VC, an early-stage venture capital investment firm based in Mexico City, focused on healthcare, fintech, smart cities, and consumer internet sectors. We also have Solomon Baumgartner, CEO of Lafarge Egypt, with us today. Lafarge Egypt is committed to providing sustainable building materials to meet the needs of its customers. Juan Alfonso Garcia is the VP of Master Builder Solutions in Latin America. Master Builder Solution creates advanced chemical solutions for construction and has been active for over 100 years. We also have Joyjeet Maity, Vice President of the startup Moglix, an Asia-based B2B marketplace focused on industrial supplies, currently valuated over $1 billion. Enrique Villamarin is the co-founder and CEO of the startup Tool in Colombia and Latin America, connecting big construction companies, improving the supply chain for construction. And last but not least, we have Vaolah Amumpaire, founder and CEO of the Ugandan startup Wena Hardware, a one-stop shop for affordable and reliable construction solutions, accessed and paid for on the go. So welcome to all of our panelists. I invite all participants to post questions and upvote questions in the Q&A section of this chat. Please post your questions there, and if you can, please address and indicate to whom the question is addressed. So now, let's move on to our panel discussion first. Our next question is to you, Enrique. Enrique, Tool has shown some exceptional speed in growing across multiple countries in Latin America. What is your approach to scaling your supply chain solution and how do you achieve this speed?
I believe that to achieve scale fast, you need your core values in the company to be aligned in that sense, right? So in Tool, we have very strict, very robust core values. One of them is objective driven, right? We need to be objective driven. Problems we have today will fall into place, will solve themselves out. So we cannot stop and try to solve them today. We need to keep on growing, right? Our objective is always pushing that boundary of growth, and problems will solve themselves out. So it's just keep pushing, right? We always need to think out of the box. We need to, for breakfast, think that people that invented the world we live in were probably like us or similar. So we need to keep pushing the boundary of not taking no for an answer, right? This industry that we live in is very prone to saying no to everything, and we need to always push and break those barriers. Can you hear me?
Yeah, sure.
Perfect. Then we have a saying here in Tool that we need to smell the people, right? To grow fast, we need to smell the people. What does that mean? We need to be in the street. We need to be.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, Ellen.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So I think in summary, as I was saying, Ellen, we need to be very objective driven. We need to break those boundaries of growth every day. We need to think out of the box, right? We need to break those paradigms the industry has. Perfect. So I was just wrapping up because I don't want to take more of your time. Those are the objectives that we have in Tool. To grow fast, we need to break those rules, think out of the box, be in the street with the people, and actually, we call it where street meets tech, right? We need to take our customers to that 21st century. We need to help them understand how can they grow faster with technology. So to wrap up my answer, I think it's just keep focused, understand you're gonna have problems in the way, understand you're gonna have no's in the way, understand you're gonna have this is impossible, and you need to keep on breaking those barriers. It's the only way to grow fast, and yeah, just keep on pushing.
Thank you very much, Enrique. Our next question is to Afshon. AfriDelivery has done a project together with Lafarge Wholesale in Africa, also during the pandemic. How has the pandemic impacted last mile delivery in Africa? And what do you think will change because of COVID-19 with regards to delivery services?
Okay, so with the pandemic, there has definitely been a demand of last mile delivery, and it has brought about a huge increase in the last mile solutions, especially the ones offered by through the mobile apps. This has also helped the vendors and retailers at least get to connect with their end users, and also get some data and some insight that helps them better their products. With all these cost-effective and innovative options available, there's a high possibility that even after the pandemic is over, then the last mile delivery industry will continue to grow as people are getting used to receiving these items to their doorsteps.
All right, thank you very much for that. Then Vaolah, Wena Hardware has had quite a successful development. Even over the lockdown, you have seen a growth of 83%. Can you share with us some key success factors that led to this result and how you provide a good shopping convenience?
Thank you, Ellen, and the rest of my colleagues. As Wena, one of the reasons we've been able to outcompete all the rest of the direct competition, which are physical hardware stores, is the fact that we've been able to understand the customer when they need the item, how they need it delivered, and within the time that works. Majority of the stores here in Uganda have not had an online presence, and that limited how people are able to buy or access the items as and when they need them. It was very familiar with the rest of the items, such as groceries, but not construction materials. So as when we had an opportunity to be able to deliver items as customers need them for construction. And also, we've been able to understand the data that we have about our customers, and this informs the decisions that we take as and when to make improvements on the system, products these people need, and how they actually need them. So it's a number of different things that have informed so many things to lead us to where we are now.
Great, thank you very much, Vaolah. Solomon, Lafarge works with several startups throughout Africa. What is the role of new marketplaces and last mile delivery services for Lafarge Egypt?
Hi, everybody. Hi, Ellen. Being in the cement business like anywhere else, our customers are also searching for mobile solutions that offer real-time visibility, security, ease of payment, and low-cost delivery. So in Egypt, e-commerce is still at its infant stage. Even though it's at the infant stage, during the pandemic, we have clearly seen that the e-commerce has rapidly grown. Actually, the Egyptian Internal Trade Development Authority has estimated in 2020 that this market grew to 40 billion Egyptian pound, which is roughly 2.6 billion US dollar. So roughly 30% of all the trades are really going already through the e-commerce platform. As this is growing, we also have to look into what does that mean for us, and particularly what does it mean to our supply chain, and in that regard for the last mile delivery. I personally believe that last mile delivery is a solution that can help an industry like ours to truly transition from somebody that is pushing commodity into somebody that does informed full replenishment systems. And with it, boost customer satisfaction, but also rein cost, gain competitive advantages. But also, I think this last mile delivery in particular is a force for good. As we have seen in places like Africa, it also creates opportunities. It also creates economy for growth for our citizens.
All right. And did the COVID-19, so how did the attitude of Lafarge Egypt change over the years towards providers of such services?
I think for us, this is quite new, to be honest. We've started maybe to look into that 2-3 years ago, globally speaking. Here in Egypt, we dived in last year. When it comes to delivery, we are still looking at our traditional ways through retailers and wholesalers. As I don't believe that this will change drastically very, very quickly, I am convinced that partnerships with such last mile marketplace companies will help us in giving certain advantages versus doing it ourselves, in particularly, or actually also outsourcing it to more like traditional organizations we are accustomed to. Some of the advantages, I believe, is that we can be faster. We have a tendency to be slow. Being a big organization, agility is not always our fortune, and working together with startups and service providers really helps us to capture this speed. But also, I believe it helps us to be more customized. At the end of the day, be faster to scale up, to change as our interaction to our customer really goes through some of this innovation together with our partners. Another advantage I see working with startups in our context rather than with traditional companies is I believe we can still maintain the experience our customers had at the delivery end. So we really can collaborate because startups like such, they still can integrate our needs and adapt their product to what we need so that our brand and our interaction with our customer is really where we want it to be. And finally, not least, I think we get access to technology, which otherwise will take much longer, such as real-time tracking and other stuff to really improve our service provision.
Mm-hmm. Great, that is great. So now over to Juan Alfonso. What about Latin America and the MBCC group? What is the role of new marketplaces and instant delivery services for you?
Well, good afternoon to everyone. I think in Latin America, there is clear visibility today of what we call the digital economy. If you compare where we are against the US, there are some gaps. Those gaps are mainly related to infrastructure investment, the telecommunication infrastructure investment, and the promotion and the adoption of the solutions. In construction, I think the widely known topic right now is BIM, the Building Information Modeling, which tends to be a little bit more holistic into what digitalization is for construction. For us in MBCC Group, we see a lot of opportunities. We see, as some of our colleagues have already mentioned, this is still evolving, and this is going to get even better. We divide in MBCC Group, for example, business-to-business activities where we have artificial intelligence, we have the key activities for our value chain, and we try to adapt digital technologies to enhance the ease of doing business with us. We sell also through distribution. That's more like a B2C business. And with that electronic payment, electronic shopping and instant delivery really play a key role. So we see a great opportunity for us to enhance our business, and Latin America is really a land of opportunity from that point of view.
Great. And then how did the COVID-19 pandemic influence companies and their attitude in online shopping in Latin America?
I think it depends. I think, for example, in the banking sector and in retail, food and restaurants, it was clearly an opportunity for them to understand a different business model. I think us as consumers were able to trust that these are reliable ways of interacting. And for some businesses, there might not be a major change right now, but many people were aware of the opportunities that come with digitalization, and we will try to bring those to industries.
Thank you. Then, Joyjeet, what about India? Compared to what Juan and Solomon just mentioned, how did the COVID-19 pandemic influence companies and their attitudes in shopping there?
So from the first wave last year that we have seen, and now the COVID second wave that we are seeing now, the consumer behavior online has shifted massively. So what our business volume we are doing way back in 2019, and just after this, all the lockdown was lifted up. After a couple of months, we saw almost 200% growth in demand from various in two aspects, particularly few categories which are not, we did not see that much of traction in online demand. We started seeing more demand for those kind of categories, and particularly relevant to this, discussion. So we started seeing more demand for bulky, engineering, construction related items, which was not that much earlier. And then we started seeing more demand from the, more remote places, people, they were not that much exposed to online digital channel, and they were accustomed to, buying from their local sellers, but they also started looking for options online. So this major shift we have seen in India, and India is riding on this digital growth, and it's kind of boom industry right now happening in India.
All right. And like you just said, you are receiving demands from other places. So a key aspect to marketplace business is to scale both the demand and the supply side. Are there any other factors how you were able to grow Moglix as a two-sided marketplace?
Right. So see, this is basically B2B marketplace, right? And the marketplace means the two players are customers and suppliers. So let me address the customer development first. For B2B domain, I mean, the initial selection of the customers is more like, selecting your investors. They should be your strategic customers who actually help you build the right product market fit before you scale up. Unlike B2C, there are always some, customer cohorts or particular group of customers which you should identify first and target one by one, rather than, doing mass marketing and mass adoption and customer acquisition at one shot. In B2B, sector, particularly construction and industrial equipment, retention of the customer is the key for the long-term growth of corporation as well as the startups. So marketplace particularly should focus more on, providing optimal customer experience, targeting, overall lifetime value of the customers rather than, one-time order value, even if that order is bulk, large order.
Okay, great. How about suppliers?
And now coming back to the suppliers, so there is also a stark difference, between the B2C marketplace and B2B marketplace. The product quality is critical here for the customer commercial application. So all the sellers must be screened thoroughly before allowing them to join your marketplace. Typically, the reputed brands and the manufacturers, you have to identify who are the category leaders, and you have to have strategic partnership with them to deploy their channel partners, their authorized dealers as the sellers of your marketplace. So that's the best strategy. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Our
Yeah.
next question is for Vaolah. Vaolah, like Joyjeet just mentioned, key aspects for the marketplace is to have great connections with your suppliers and your customers. So how do you make sure that these relationships are carefully maintained?
As Joy just mentioned, relationships are dependent on so many different aspects. And for us, our different suppliers or different partners we work with, it's more of a partnership. And this helps both of us find value in what we are doing. So for example, if it's about money, we need to ensure that they are getting value for the time they put in to make sure that our end user or our customer gets items delivered in the right quality, in the right quantities, and on time. So it means that they have to have a certain margin that that we are giving them, as opposed to having so much commission and then leaving less of what they are comfortable with in terms of profitability. So we focus a lot on how much the supplier or the partner we are working with is making and how much we are also making, but also giving them value in terms of customers. At the end of the day, any business owner is looking at how much volume are they moving, and if you are giving them that, then it helps relationship. And as when overall we are customer oriented, we are relationship oriented, just close a sale or get whatever it is that we want.
Let's move on to you, Federico. From an investor perspective, what do you need to take into consideration when you invest in startups in emerging markets? What is specifically important for delivery solutions?
Thank you, Ellen. Here with entrepreneurs and great professionals. I mean, we take many things into considerations. I think what we've seen in Latin America in terms of e-commerce growth recently due to the pandemic response is unprecedented. Latin America is the highest growth region in the world in e-commerce, and Mexico is the highest growth country in the world. It is in part because we come from behind, as Juan Alfonso mentioned, and we're reaching a point where on-demand delivery platforms are becoming more and more mature. So we started with next day as a value proposition that was interesting for consumers. Then we went to 2 hours, then 60 minutes, and now we're at 10 minutes in B2C on-demand delivery platforms. The next wave will come from companies such as the one that Enrique founded, which are B2B on-demand marketplaces. That's something that we're looking at. So I would say that the first thing, Ellen, is we want to catch waves and trends early as an early stage investor.
Thank you very much.
Tool is definitely one of those.
All right, great, because our next question is for Enrique. Enrique, you provide a supply chain solution specifically for the construction industry. So how do you see the importance of shopping convenience and instant delivery develop within our industry in the last year? What are the driving forces?
Yes, continuing on what Federico said, which I completely agree, I think the B2C market has evolved quickly in the past years in that sort of immediate need from customers, right? The B2C is lacking, right? The construction B2C is completely sort of dinosaur lacking, right? I think many other industries have evolved faster, but in the construction industry as a whole, I think there's a huge opportunity. Companies or the industry has never seen a customer in their life. That is very sort of impactful, but it's true. Companies have always seen factories, and companies have always worked factory downwards in terms of production, in terms of logistics, in terms of packaging, in terms of imaging. Everything is thought of factory downwards because before clients didn't have the possibility of buying many products. Now clients are deciding what to buy, right? And that has completely changed the industry. Here in Tool, we're thinking market upwards, right? We're starting at the market, understanding what are the needs, and then working ourselves upwards. And that's a big shift. I think in terms of logistics, people need to have solutions that help them trap less cash. It has been an industry that has had a thought about, always margin wise and not cash wise, and we need to help customers trap less inventory, have much more on demand sort of products, and this will for sure help the industry have sort of better prosperity, better sort of margins in the future.
So let's move to the next question. So Solomon, based on what Enrique said, what do you think is driving this change in the industry?
I do totally Enrique when he mentions us as more being a little bit of a dinosaur in that regard. What I do believe is changing is really at the end it's competition. Yes, I'm here in Egypt. It's an oversupplied market. We have many players which are trying to access the same market, yes, and the same customer. And you have to start to look in different ways in order to be able to reach your customer. So B2B is not anymore enough. You need to go to B2C and find really your end customer. And as Enrique said, really start feeling him as well, and not only just through your retail and the wholesale system, but your end customer in itself. And this is what is really driving also for us this transformation on looking into the last mile delivery and all this stuff. Because at the end of the day, it's really about to learn what the customer wants. Yes, a lot of the knowledge we have, it's very often secondhand. So we get it through our retailers, we get it through consultants, through developers and all that stuff, but not necessarily through that person at the very end. And we do really hope that this new innovation and this jumping now on this marketplace will help us to get access to those kind of information, and through that increase our own agility in terms of innovation, in terms of market delivery, in terms of time to market with new products, but also being more adapted to whatever the customer needs at the end of the day.
Okay, great. Thank you, Solomon. Now, Juan Alfonso, is MBCC working together with startups? And if yes, how?
Well, we have, and in my opinion, we will continue to do that even more in the future. I think that with cloud-based technologies and mobiles, the landscape is really changing, and it's giving a new opportunity both for us as suppliers and also for the consumers to be much more connected. I think, as mentioned, it's a little bit of a concern that we are perceived as a dinosaur. No, there are great opportunities in construction. I think delivery is one of the areas, but the topics of sustainability, for example, and in my opinion, increasing the productivity in construction overall is a great opportunity for these startups to really redefine the landscape of how we work in construction. So I think that companies like us, which tend to be more, let's say, bigger and more bureaucratic to a certain extent, need that flexible partner. And also, as Enrique mentioned, we really need to make sure that we are understanding the customers, the customer behavior, and that we really define our strategies in order to bring value to those customers. So I am definitely in favor of this, and I think that that is something that will continue to happen in the future.
All right, thank you, Juan. I actually would like to start with some questions from the audience. We have a question for Afshon from Rami Ibrahim. How did you manage to target the right customers online who are into commodity products such as cement? And what would be the most effective way to replicate your success story in Egypt?
Okay, great. So first of all, when we started with AfriDelivery, we started as a food delivery service, and we immediately started taking this opportunity to understand our customer, because we noticed that our customers wanted more than just food, and we started building our product based on the customer's need, because we used to get a lot of feedback from these customers. And basically, that is what has helped us scale into at least what the consumers normally want or normally need. So we've got a very good pool of consumers. We try as much as we can to get as much data as we can from them based on their needs. And then through that, any future developments that we plan for are very they're very driven by the information that we collect from consumers about how you can replicate the same model that we have in Zambia. First of all, you have to the biggest reason why we've been successful with last mile delivery in Zambia with Lafarge is because we've forged a partnership that first of all helps AfriDelivery get support in terms of resources and structure that Lafarge already has, and then in return, AfriDelivery is able to offer Lafarge with innovation and the team that at least is agile to anything that we would like to put out into the market. So my proposition would be get a proper partner, like in our case where we have Lafarge, and then see how you can forge a partnership for mutual benefit.
All right, thank you, Afshon. Rami, I hope that answers your questions. Afshon, I have a follow-up question from Stani Mac, because you started out as a food delivery service, then you started offering cement. So what changes did you have to make in your organization to make it into a success?
Okay, so the changes, first of all, I think the biggest challenge that I had was first of all convincing the team that we can move from just selling food to selling cement. The consumers were not really a big problem, because I believe that our consumers needed more than just food. But on top of convincing the team that I had, we also had to make quite a number of changes to the user interface of our platform. So we had to make the platform not look just like a food delivery service, but change it from a food delivery service to an e-commerce platform that users can get more than just food. So that's the biggest thing. And then you have to. I think also another reason why we had a successful cement launch is because we got quite a lot of support from our last mile delivery partner, Lafarge. So we got a lot of communication from their side to their consumers. So it became easy for us to convert their existing offline consumers to online consumers. And then we just use AfriDelivery as a platform where they could easily get the product they needed. And on top of that, we offered their logistics, which now created a 360 ecosystem where they could easily get into the platform, order for some, and get it delivered within at least 120 minutes.
All right, great. And it has been very successful so far. So congratulations.
Yes. Thank you very much.
We have a question from Anonymous to Joyjeet. You mentioned that you have seen increased demand from sectors that are not digital savvy. So what kind of measures would you put in place, or are you putting in place, to ensure continued demand even after the pandemic is over and the restrictions are lifted?
Yeah, I must say that very interesting question. Whoever has put it up, I'd love to answer this question because this is our strategy now. We are working on it. And as I mentioned, that retention is the key for B2B marketplace success. So whatever customer base we could, tap into during this pandemic, probably they would have, come online, and out of their sheer necessity, they have placed the order. So we would try to retain that customers over, personalized content creation. So based on their purchase behavior, based on their category of product that they have chosen. So we are creating all sorts of engagement model to recommend different ancillary products, cross-sell different products, complementary and supplementary products, for those customers, and also to provide excellent customer service in the entire, end-to-end process of delivery, so that they give good feedback, and we'll also start some referral programs so that customers like them who are not that much digital savvy, they also come to our portal, hearing from the success story, hearing from the positive feedback from the same set of customers. So we are also creating loyal customer club sort of and membership sort of experience, so that this trend is continued even after pandemic is over. So this is our continued strategy. Yeah.
Thank you, Joyjeet. We have a question from Jason to Enrique and Federico. How do you see and follow the growth of instant delivery platforms in Europe? How can your speed be applied to B2B marketplaces over there?
I'll let Federico answer that, because my quick answer is, as entrepreneurs, I think I'm just going to say the answer. We don't have time. We don't have time to be looking at other companies in Europe and how they scale and how they are doing some things. We just have so much on the table to grow every month, 60, 80, 90%, that is just focusing on your company, and that's how we grow. So I'll just let Federico, which I know it looks at much more companies than we do.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, so Federico, do you have a comment on this?
Yeah. So my job is to understand these trends, and one of the things that I do to understand them is to talk to people like Enrique and also Juan Alfonso, because it is very interesting to get information from entrepreneurs and from corporates working with entrepreneurs. What about the instant delivery platforms in Europe? It's fascinating. Are consumers going to pay a premium for 10 minutes delivery instead of 60 minutes delivery? It's fascinating. We have a tradition in Latin America of platforms such as Rappi, such as Corner Shop, such as iFood, that are fantastic at delivering at 60 minutes or under. And we have a new wave of instant delivery platforms like Joker, built from people that actually worked at Rappi, that are launching and competing with that platform. It is hard to say what is going to happen. It is hard to say what is going to be the response of Rappi and Corner Shop to this wave, but we definitely look at it. It is fascinating. We have to understand, and that with this I'm going to finish, Ellen, we have to understand that the infrastructure in Latin America, the way cities are built, is one where density is not as large as in Europe. So in Europe, you have a lot of density. So very short delivery time is easier to deliver than in a city like Mexico City or Sao Paulo that are spread in huge areas. So I would say that the fit with the way the cities are structured is not as good as in Europe, but we're definitely looking at it, and it's a trend that will definitely make a wave in our sector.
All right, thank you, Federico. So we have a couple of minutes left, maybe time for one or two more questions. And you touched, Federico, on the logistics operations, how customers are willing to pay for a delivery in 10 minutes instead of a delivery in an hour. And there is a question from Peter Anderson to Enrique. So how did you scale your logistic operations and infrastructure to keep up with your monthly growth? As you are growing so much on a month-to-month basis, how do you fulfill that promise?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that's the core of our business. Every startup, I think, needs to understand, first of all, what are its bottlenecks, right? In that growth path, 3 months, 6, 9, 10, 12 months, what might delay that growth, right? That in our case is very simple, is getting warehouses, right? Getting a warehouse for a startup is very hard because we don't have balance sheets. So it's very hard for us to get a warehouse. So that sense is understanding what are your bottlenecks. And right now I'm already working, right, for the next warehouse I'm gonna have in 12 months. So understanding those bottlenecks and work or plan them really ahead of time. And secondly, the only way to scale logistics fast is with technology. Every problem you have, right, needs to be solved with tech. Every time we encounter an Excel sheet, that just pops up a question saying we cannot work it through. Every time we encounter a printer, it's one of those red flags. Every time we encounter a call from someone to someone else, that's a red flag. So you need to think about logistics as like a living organism, that the only way it's going to grow is with technology. The picking in the warehouse, the packing of the trucks, the routing through the cities, as Federico said, I completely agree. Understanding Sao Paulo, Ciudad de Mexico is very, very different than understanding whatever Madrid. We need to understand, and for example, Tul sees Ciudad de Mexico as 5 different cities, complete different cities. We have that's how we understand the city. That's how we understand like the playbook of the Ciudad de Mexico. Before we come into a city, we need to plan out the logistics, how it's going to develop over time, and I think it's just having the eyes, ears, and just feeling of everyone in the street and understanding how can every problem be solved with technology. It's the only way to scale fast.
Okay, thank you. I think we have time for one more last quick question to Solomon from an anonymous participant. How can startups help you accelerate the required cultural change within your corporation?
How can they help us? I think the main element of helping us is really collaborate with us, partner with us, as mentioned already in that panel. The second element is, stay true to yourself. Don't get corrupted through our way of trying to influence things, and maintain the agility as they are. We are currently working with Halan here in Egypt to develop exactly this last mile delivery solution, and the collaboration is really good in that regard, in saying, okay, they have very different ideas, very different experiences. Having done a commodity, a heavy commodity in Egypt, that's kind of the first time we were trying to do that. It's very different from delivering, as Afshon said, food and small items. Here you're talking, at 1 ton delivery. So how can I do a 1 ton before we're going into the bags of maybe 50 or 25 kilograms? So really exploring with us, how is that possible? How can we overcome our own boundaries of imagination? Yes, so we are so accustomed to work through our retail and wholesales. I think that's where the collaboration, the new ideas, the fresh views of things interplay with us. This in this particular case, but in other cases, very often they have data which show us different things. This is not necessarily based on cement, but can be correlated to our business, and that also helps us to better understand how the dynamics really work in that last mile, for example, or any other disruptive way of looking at our business model.
Thank you, Solomon.
I might just add something to Solomon's answer.
That's as a final comment. Great.
I think when corporate companies like Lafarge is an amazing company, right? And startups, when each one in the table understands what they're good for, right? And have the humbleness of saying, I'm good at this, right? And they are good at that. If everyone at the table understands that, I think we can join forces, right? If I, as a startup, want to build a cement plant, right? Solomon's gonna say, go ahead and build it, right?
Yeah.
I'll see you, broke in a couple of years. But if Solomon says, I want to build the fastest growing sort of delivery system in Egypt, the startup's going to say, go ahead, Solomon, build it. You don't have the capability of doing it. If everyone in the table understands they're different animals and what they're good for, I think joining powers is very, very, very profitable for the industry. If everyone knows what they're good for, I think that's a thing that in the corporate world sometimes people think they can do everything, right? Because they're really big companies and really sort of legendary companies. And I think you need to understand what, running 100 meters for a gazelle much faster than for an elephant. Both animals are very, very important in the ecosystem, but it's just understanding what you're good for and what not, I think.
Great. Thank you, Solomon, Enrique, Federico, Afshon, Joyjeet, Juan Alfonso, and Vaolah, who unfortunately is no longer here. Those are great closing statements. I invite now all of you to click on the sessions button to the left of your screen and return to the main session for some closing statements of our CDO, Philip Leuteder. Thank you very much for joining.
Thanks,
and see you soon. Bye.
Bye.